So is this really a set it and forget it, or what best practices does a business have to do, whether it's your product or otherwise, to really effectively, continuously have a living, breathing version of how they manage data and what 80/20, what percentage they need to really focus on versus over documenting and not using it all? Is there any best practices that companies should be using when they look at that from the perspective of, I did this implementation, I'm great, I'm done? Or is there something that really has to happen on an ongoing basis for this to be relevant going forward?
You raise an interesting point because there was a second, you talked about the differentiation of procedure flow against other things in the market. So the first and most important thing is creating visual, logical paths at a bird's eye view for people to follow. That solves 50% of the problem. Now people can actually read and use your knowledge management system. The second half of it, anybody who's been around knowledge management for 12 months or more knows the whole thing falls down on maintenance. It falls down on, can you keep the information up to date? Because really, if you think about customer service in the structure of an organization, it's like it's kind of, I hate to say it like this, but it's kind of like, it's like a dumpster fire, of sorts, where there's process changes and marketing changes and product changes and government regulations and all this stuff is happening throughout the business all the time. That ekes out and hits the customers, and then they call in where? They call into customer support, right? And so customer support is having to figure out all the changes going on in the business. And that updating of processes all the time, that volatility, means that the knowledge management, if it's not kept up to date, is going to suffer. And in a 3-year cycle, you're going to have information that's out of date, duplicated, et cetera. And it's going to recreate all the challenges that you've been trying to solve. And so procedure flow created collaboration version control is a term, or distributed revision control. We adopted a model that allows the agents, the team leads, the trainers, the quality assurance, the directors, the managers, everybody involved in touching that, they can pull a draft to themselves, say what they think should be fixed or updated. There's a broken link, a typo, whatever it is, submit that up for approval, get an approval person to review it as a side-by-side comparison, marked up, and then check that off. And so we've actually, like, our customers love that feature because it creates ownership. The whole team's involved. You have a single source of truth. There's no locking. And we've been able essentially to crowdsource the maintenance of the knowledge system, this visualized knowledge system. And so if you come in 16 months from now as a new agent and you're in a training classroom, your material is what they're using live on the floor, which normally the training material is, falling behind the reality of what's happening on the floor. So it's a really nice system.
So it sounds like from a content perspective, right? I'm not gonna say it's an empty box, but it's all catered to that in particular customer. Is there something I'm missing there around, if you run into enough customers, right? There's enough information that may be repurposed or being able to leverage as best practices or things that are already templated, or is everything a white slate where it's all catered directly to that customer's entire journey of what they have for their information, their knowledge base, and how they want to use it?
Yeah, we service, in a primary sense, we service the 4 major human life industries. Like, if you want to exist as a human, what do you need? You need health, you need electricity, you need a telephone, you need a bank, right? And so those 4 industries have some repeatability to them in terms of they're either using the same systems or they execute on similar processes. Like for utilities, it's move in, move out processes, or, what have you, right? And so there's some base set that you can template and go, but you'd be surprised, even with 2 very common brother sister organizations, the number of little systems they use on the back end. An agent could be using anywhere from 5 to 40 different systems to handle one type of call. I've seen the 40 one. It's pretty fascinating. So there's always this attempt to consolidate, but at the end of the day, there's all these systems that they have to use. And so that's going to create the customization and the variability between customers that there are no 2 customers that are identical.